Welcome to Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Rose Minahan and her panel of guests bring you leading-edge astrology conversations through a journey of soul growth patterns connecting astrology's energetic cycles. Get ready to understand your path in the cosmic roots of the stars.
Founder of Talk Cosmos, and we have leading conversations, awakening your authentic self for soul growth. And today is the month of April, and I'm a little bit projecting because we're really talking about the eclipse, which is coming up, and that'll be on the 30th. So today is the 24th, almost a week before. So it's the 24th of April. And we are delighted to talk about the new moon, which is a solar eclipse. The nodes are very close to it, and it's at 10 degrees. It's in the first decan of Taurus. It goes 30 degrees. First 10 ruled by Taurus, second 10, 10 to would be in Virgo. Okay, enough details. We're just going to get right into it. We're time for Archetypal Symbols. Thank you.
Synthesizing the current archetypal new moon energies through weaving symbol systems such as Sabian Symbols, numerology, Mayan novel energy days, or even Tarot, connecting to the astrological data and concepts for planets and cosmos, this is your Archetypal Symbols panel.
I'm Sue Rose Minahan, founder of Talk Cosmos, an evolutionary and eclectic astrologer and consultant, plus a certified color energy coach. I love investigating mythology's language, philosophizing esoteric fields of eternity, a perpetual student of life, seeing oneness of bodies, spirit of people, animals, and nature. I explore creative expression as an artist, a musician, and write abundantly, poetry to stories, and celebrate humanity's individuated, co-creative life force experience.
I'm Elizabeth Liz Machette, a professional astrologer, intuitive, numerologist, and tarot reader. I'm a certified sacred healing counselor, providing nurturing, in-depth consultations for individuals and couples. I'm an author, blogger, speaker, and international Reiki master and teacher. I create safe space in which to explore the deeper patterns of your life, to clarify your current circumstances and help you find your best path forward.
I'm Justin Crocodelsey, an archetypal astrologer, teacher, and author. I combine both Western ancient astrology and modern psychological astrology with Eastern Vedic astrology, and I specialize in predictive, electional, and karmic astrology for individuals and couples. I'm a certified aromatherapist, an essential oil specialist, and an herbalist, and I offer remedial modalities of plants for psychological life issues to empower clients with compassionate healing. I also do in-depth astrological research into arcane astrological concepts, focusing on the mystical, occult side of astrology.
Eleanor Roosevelt once said, "Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift." And that's why it's called the present.
Well, good morning, afternoon, and evening, no matter where you are. This is the panel that relates to the symbols in association with the new moon, and it happens to be the eclipse. Hi, Justin. Hi, Liz. Yes, and I would be thrilled to have either of you and both introduce what you think is really a focal point of this eclipse, whether it's numerology, Sabian, or however you'd like to begin.
Well, I look at the eclipse as a new time, so I really liked that you chose the title Spring Cleaning, because that seems so appropriate to release and let go of what is no longer required or needed or necessary, and to make room for the new, to move on to a new beginning.
Yes, actually, I think it was Justin that came up because of the purging business. And I realized Justin's having a little difficulty with his technological connection. So we're hoping like crazy that he gets back in. A little bit of an eclipse energy, isn't it? Where that's exactly what we lose the light. And so we're losing here at Justin. But it is spring cleaning. It 10 degrees, Taurus. Taurus is that energy of our resources, our self-reliance. Oh boy, here he comes back. I think your solar eclipse returned, Justin. I'm so glad. You're like the light coming in and out. Can you hear me, Justin? Oh dear.
I think he's frozen.
Yeah, I think maybe it's his. Okay, well, what would you say about the numerology? I know that's a
Well, looking at the chart for this partial solar eclipse, it was really interesting because the number 11 and 22 are highlighted in this eclipse. The angles of the chart for Washington, D.C. have 29 on the angles. That's the first house, fourth house, seventh house, and 10th house of 29 degrees. So 2 plus 9 equals an 11. And we also have Mars at 11 degrees too. So 11 to me is very intuitive. It's wisdom, intelligence, teacher. It's a responsibility. It's a higher vibration. And then the 22, we have the north and south node. And Vesta at 22 degrees. So that's 22 is a master builder number. Efforts, it requires great effort, but things can be accomplished with the efforts you put forth. So your dreams and desires and wishes, you can work on those to manifest those.
Yes. Hi, Justin. Are you back after the eclipse?
I hope so.
I know. I guess we didn't tell people that's going to happen in the morning on the East Coast. It's at 4:28 p.m. And I'm trying to get my slides up, but for some reason I can't. Do you think, Nathan, are they there? Is my slide? Oh, goody. Thank you so much. Okay, there it is. Good, Justin. So we were talking about the numbers, 11 and 22, master numbers. And they have a lot to do about spirit, of course, too. And that. So my question had been before the eclipse with your session, what your energy that you see, or what would you say looking at this chart that jumps out at you?
Well, I think, the Taurus energy is the primary focus, with the North Node there this season. And that this is really about getting out closer to nature and closer to our physicality, and really, getting our hands dirty, getting it in the dirt, and getting closer to our physical space at this particular point in time.
Ooh, physical space. That is so true. Integrating the body that wants to talk, learning its language. That is absolutely paramount. With those numbers, Liz, did you find, and I'm sorry, my concentration was a bit diffused, you might say, with the Pisces business, because we do have the two giants out there collaborating still, Jupiter and Neptune, with our vision and our boundaries in this wonderful energy, but it's not, anyway, it was diffused. So how would you tie in those numbers with the Taurian energy, 11 and 22?
Well, it's like to step up and take responsibility for what you want to accomplish. And I also wanted to say April is a 4-month, and April 30th, 2022 is a 4. So the 22 breaks down to a 4. So April as a whole requires work and effort. And I think it will give us a time to reflect. And what is spirituality? What is, my inner and my outer, and my community, my town, my state, my country? It just goes bigger and bigger and bigger. And so it's like a big reflection of what can I do? And it's like, it might be, I can clean a drawer in my house. It might be I can volunteer to help my neighborhood do something. You just have to see what is possible. Maybe it's I need to clean out my garage.
4, I remember in our little pre-chat the idea of stability. And so with all this unknown that we've been going through, and 4 is like 4 cornerstones, it's stable. It's a building block of things.
I want to add to that, and I totally agree with her about that. And I would point out also that it adds up to 6. And so as we talk about 6, both 4 and 6 are both very Earth-like, Earth-like numbers. And 6 is the 6th house in the chart, which, as to Liz is talking about, responsibility and work and service and health. And that 6 energy is very Taurus-like, of responsibility and physicality.
It is. Is it the 6th, the Lovers, I think, in Tarot?
Yes.
Is it? Yeah, it's the Lovers. And I'm thinking the Lovers is often thought of as partnerships and whatnot, or Venus. I don't know about Venus, but 6. I love 6. It's the 4 directions plus inner and outer. It's powerful.
22 is 4, and the 11 is the relationship, the inner and outer, right? So that's 6. 11, 22 is 6.
And Venus go ahead.
Originally, the Lover's card was called the 2 Paths, and a lot of people don't know that.
Oh, I like that because go ahead.
I often think of it as a crossroads card. It's like, I've come to a crossroads. Do I turn left? Do I turn right? Or do I go straight ahead?
Choice. Aries is choice and Libra is decisions. Yes. Plus the mirror being reflected. And I think intention. Weren't you talking about earlier about intention, Justin? Because with the nodes, South Node in Scorpio has everything to do about intention as far as reflecting what we're choosing to
right. And I think that's it. And I think Liz mentioned that. She mentioned about I don't want to say motivation, but she mentioned something about that effort and that, what way, that how did you say, Liz? It's about, that you can, I can't come up with the words, but you said it kind of about, we have to take action for that and do what we're doing. And so, yeah, it's about motivation and intention here.
Well, I was really driving towards the idea of generosity. That's what I was driving at, like depending on the rewards, but maybe we're jumping. Let's talk about some Sabians. That'll recenter after our eclipse event with the technology. We'll get through all this. It's at 10 and 11 Taurus. So 10 Taurus is Red Cross nurse, providing help to others. That's pretty pivotal. Any comments on how you might deepen that?
Well, that goes into the generosity that Justin was talking about earlier of how can we be of help, whether it's help to ourselves, our family, our community, how can we help? Because sometimes people need a little help or assistance. I've always had the belief that every person knows something they can share with somebody else because somebody's missing that piece of information. So.
Yeah. True. Yes, although, boy, that sure brings home to the idea that some people are very sensitive, and I'm not disagreeing at all, I'm just elaborating. People are very sensitive about getting what they feel are suggestions. So I guess part of that key is if they ask, then you can provide, and just what they ask for, because it's so easy to consider, I have some valuable information, I think I'll hand it over, which is probably the Jupiterian energy, yes?
Yes.
You're smiling like a
Yeah.
cashier cat there, Justin. Yes.
No, I'm trying because I know there's gonna be some crackling here in a minute with my microphone.
Oh, don't
but
worry
I
about it. Just speak. Yeah.
Okay. But no, I totally agree with Liz, what she's saying there. I mean, and I think the Red Cross nurse, Dane Rudyard talked about that sort of that humanitarian consecration to humanity type of energy that this Taurus is about receptivity with others and caregiving and generosity. Yeah. So everything you both said, I would really add to it.
Well, just looking at that chart, which we have up for everybody, and this is on the East Coast, this chart is pretty compact. The planets are still orbiting very tightly so wherever they are in your location, they're going to be highlighting. On this case, it's in the Western Hemisphere. So it's like it's all hanging out. When it's on the Western Hemisphere, that energy, according to that idea.
Well, I might point out at the chart, here we're talking about generosity, and it's this chart, the moon showing up in the 8th house. Stuff coming to you, money coming to you, resources coming to you from others. Again, back to giving and reset. We got that's really highlighting that 2nd to 8th house opposition, the houses of resources of what we give and receive.
And good. And the suddenness of it with that erratic planet of change, Uranus, that's so close, in between the nodal point that we're all heading towards, and of that. So that's a change. I guess be receptive to quick, unexpected changes, because these
especially
last
with
a long.
Resources.
Yes, and well, I guess that can go both ways, can't it? So
It's all good.
Yeah, I think so. I think we need to think of the better part of things and whatnot. So, and Jupiter 27, right with Venus. Now, that would be the harvest moon, or the moon illuminates a clear sky. So harvest, I know we debated whether to add that, but it is the reaping of what one sows, you could say. Like out there, it's like in other words, that energy between these benefic, the generosity, talking about generous, Jupiter is huge, it expands. So hopefully it is with whatever it expands, it could be generous. But here it looks like fulfillment. Yes? Is that what?
Well, and it seems like efforts put in, now they're paying off. It's like you've gained your reward for work well done.
Justin, Mr. Crackle?
Yeah, I would agree. I would definitely agree. And in this chart, it's showing up in the area of work and health, in the house of health and work.
So it's worth it. Keep going.
Yeah, there's also, I think, a little bit of certification of worth here that happens with this abundance and fulfillment. There's a thing about fulfillment and abundance as we move into that Taurus energy of sensuality and physicality. This may be a time when people are feeling more need to really get closer to others, with that Taurus energy, and also get closer to the earth. Get outside, get your hands dirty, really feel the moon energy, the garden, the plants, and define some sense of connectedness with that. Satisfaction.
Yeah, Earth Day was just on the 22nd, a couple of days ago. And I know walking barefoot, however you can, that also connects a person right into the ground. And that it's spring, so it's a good time to connect with all the butterflies. And I think there's one here too that's talking about butterflies. Which one was that? Well, no matter. That's okay. Doesn't. Yeah. There's so many with Sabians. It's like, how do they make? How to add them all together? But I think with Earth, we have so much that, of course, that whether it's the globe, the whole earth, or with the events going on. And then, of course, our climate and nurturing. And as you say, doing something that we can. I think, Liz, you were bringing that up, just to declutter and make space for the new things. It's always that event, with an eclipse. It's for the unexpected. Yeah.
I noticed on Facebook the other day when I was looking that people had really nice items that they were passing on and giving them away free, so that what a reward for the person that receives, whether it's pots and pans or a shelf or clothes or toys for children, or, it's kind of nice to pass them along. It's like it could be my junk or in my way, and it can be somebody else's treasure.
Yeah.
And then the Sabian symbols were talking about gardens and the gardens providing. It's like, to me, that speaks to self-nurturing and allowing things to grow, so that we take care of Earth and Earth will take care of us, so to speak.
And it can be immediate. It can be right in your own territory. I know that our condo association here, we have our annual meeting, and I'm glad to have one of the subjects will be about how the garbage is being recycled, because here in Hawaii, we don't have the great recycling that Seattle has, which I think Seattle is one of the blueprints for the nation when it comes to, honestly speaking, with its tremendous. Of course, neither one of you are living right directly in Seattle, but I had for all those years. And there you can take your food and put it in with your yard waste, and then a company comes and buys that or is given that and makes compost out of it, and then people buy it. But it's such a total Scorpio Taurus experience. And then all the other factors here, as far as recycling, here we can put our glass somewhere and they make it into, I don't know what they do. You have to go up there and do it along with cardboard. But hopefully the energies may brainstorm how we can begin to recycle plastic, or to come up with something different instead of plastic. Wouldn't that be grand? Any ideas? Any ideas that come up to mind? I keep thinking, oh boy, we lost Justin again. If we could just have something that if you added a little ingredient to it, boink, it would just dissolve, change,
maybe,
like shape shifting.
Maybe not make so many things out of plastic, because here in the Northwest, and I think a lot of states, that they're thinking differently of how to make the bags that you carry your groceries home in. Like I have reusable bags that I can use over and over and over that I've been using, so I'm not using so many plastic bags. And if there's not a need, it won't go into the waste centers and become a problem. I know, there's, I think they call them earth ship houses, that they will make a wall with bottles and cement, and then they'll fill plastic jugs and do something else with something else. So there are certain projects that they use some of the plastics. I think even in Haiti, when they had the earthquake, they did some earth ship houses down there.
I was in a house that was built very similar like that, with bottles in the walls. He was an architect. It was exciting. Just in your back. But with that thought about plastic, I know that Talk Cosmos will be involved with NORWAC. And for those people that are in the Northwest and come down and visit. We'll have a table. And I am working on trying to get a t-shirt. Now it's gone back and forth whether we'll do that, but somebody else was reminding me that might be a good idea. And I happened to see Earth Day celebrate through a I wish I could remember the name of whichever group, with a t-shirt that was made of cotton and plastic. Now, I don't know how would that wear? I don't know how the plastic would wear, but I thought, I'd love to do that for a t-shirt.
Well, we already have plastic in some of our clothes with polyester, so.
Oh, rats. That's right. I don't like
fabric,
polyester.
So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
No, I don't like polyester myself either.
I don't either. Never did.
I like natural fabrics that breathe.
Very true. Breathing. Now that's a good thing for this, for the world. We think of the algae on the ocean, because the ocean is so, as an emphasis here with this chart, that with this eclipse, that we're, it's very, it wants to be listened to. The recycling of the waters want to be heard. So, and breathing. I'm just thinking of the air with the.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there was something else that I was going to mention about the chart, that, here's this big component we're talking about, Earth and this Taurus energy. But then there's this sort of, because it is an eclipse and it's an inflection point, sort of the end of a cycle, beginning of a cycle. And I think we see that with that midheaven in Gemini, which talks about the Sabian symbols, about a person gets a second chance, and that it's kind of liberation from the past. And then that Lilith there is talking more about sort of one flag being raised, and then, one Lord being raised. So I think this is, at the end of the day, some type of inflection point. I'm not sure what you two think about that.
Oh, yes, Liz, go ahead. I've got this perks my brain. Mm-hmm.
Well, and I agree with that. It's like, like going within and reflecting and, seeing what you can gain from inner knowledge. But it also talked about reading an old scroll to gain knowledge, to start something new. It's like, also include some old information with it, but yet reform it and make it new.
It's right close to my chart, and also to the original Cosmos chart, which was 29 Virgo ascendant and 29 Gemini at the MC. We have to break for a moment. But I love this idea of the liberation to, just like we were saying, purge, clean out the closets, do the spring cleaning, change your evaluation of why you're being generous. What are you getting back from what you get, so that you can release that and receive new and get the unexpected. Oh boy. Well, we will be back with Archetypal Symbols with Justin Crockett, Elsie, and Elizabeth Liz Mouchette. Thank you.
While we take a break from this week's edition of Talk Cosmos, let's take a look at this cycle's archetype. We're currently in the period of Taurus. By leaving a cycle based upon initiation, the energy of Taurus integrates spirit into a solid form of matter that is tangible and physical. It's an earth sign, concerned with self-sufficiency and the values to maintain the strength of a life form throughout its survival.
Hi, it's Dr. Laura Tad, and I wanted to let you know about my course in personal mythology. Now offered as a self-paced online class, you can explore the stories you live by and those you have inherited from your ancestors, culture, and society. This course comes with 8 30-minute check-ins with me as you move through each of the modules. Enrollment is ongoing. For more information or to register, please go to my website, mythicsky.com.
Talk Cosmos brings you leading-edge astrological conversations with hour-long programs each week on KKNW. The show goes live every Sunday from 1 to 2 p.m. Pacific. Talk Cosmos weekly programs are also available to watch live on Facebook and YouTube, along with daily chats throughout the week on the Talk Cosmos YouTube channel. While you're there, make sure you click like and subscribe buttons so you can get the full Talk Cosmos experience. Or, if you'd rather listen to the show archives with audio only, the entire podcast collection since 2018 is available on most podcast carriers. So, grab your coffee, tea, or kombucha and enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Dan Kusel, Jungian psychotherapist and astrologer, and you're listening to Talk Cosmos on Alternative Talk 1150 AM, where we explore the connections between the movements of the planets and the evolution of consciousness.
Self-help, healing, spirituality, and more. on Alternative Talk, 1150.
We're back again. This is April 24th, and as Archetypal Symbols, I'm Sue Rose Minahan. Talk Cosmos will be at NORWAC, so come check us out. That is 27th, I'm sorry, that's a Friday. 28th is a Saturday, and 29th is Sunday. And in fact, we'll be back on the 29th too, chatting away about Gemini. But right now we're talking about Taurus because we have a major 10-degree, 28-minute Taurus solar eclipse happening on the April 30th at 4:28 p.m. in the East Coast. And of course, check it out when it is. And if you go to Talk Cosmos, at the bottom of the page, you can change any of the times. In fact, it also tells you a little chart of where all the planets are. There's resources there. And every month, for every event, I'm going to post how to get to the YouTube channel. So I'm hoping to improve all these things. We just spoke as a culmination of our conversation with Liz and Justin about this particular chart representing the United States, because it is on the East Coast and that's where the capital is and whatnot. That's what we use. Is that it liberating and but also the hard work involved with all the numerology, that insight. This is definitely where our intention matters. It always does. It rules everything. But the point is, I noticed, Liz, you brought that it's a 4-hour in your notes that you shared with me, a 4-hour eclipse. And it will be over South America on the west and the south end, the Pacific, the Atlantic, Antarctica. So that's more in the southern region of the world, just so if people want to know. And I was thinking too, the nodes. I know that both of you are, with these nodes at 22 degrees and 21 degrees, both in Taurus and Scorpio. Interestingly, and I'll just start it off because you both research and integrate these much more than I have. And I'm loving to learn this, which I hope our audience is too, that this north node at 22 degrees is a white dove flying over troubled waters.
It's like we're able to overcome chaos, is what I would say. What about you, Justin?
Yeah, I think, when we talk about, just to kind of step back here for a second, this energy between Scorpio and Taurus, which are always an opposite of one another, sort of that tension string or seesaw effect here, that the Scorpio brings in that spirituality, that self-transformation, and Taurus brings in that need to accumulate into one's safety and security. So one's renunciation, one's accumulation, so I think that's sort of the kind of the bigger overcharging thing this year, and why everybody's going to be definitely more concerned about inflation and where our resources are at. But I think I would agree with you, that Sabian symbol that talks about a dove, that at the end of the day, everything's going to work out okay. I think, Dane Rudyard with that one particular symbol said it related to certification of worth. So I think, when we talk about Taurus ruling that second house of values, it's really about what is of value,
It's beautiful. And the second one, the Sabian itself going towards 21 degrees. Oh, we lost Justin. He'll be back. He's having that crackling business. And maybe that's Uranus here already activating, getting in with that electrical energy. I think your electrical energy, Justin, with Uranus is really knocking on your door. I was like, oh my gosh. So we'll know at NORWAC, we'll be able to figure this out. Yeah, do visit us. Well, all three of us are going to be at that table. It'll be a lot of fun. So
at 21 degrees Taurus, and this is so interesting for me because again, every morning I do my 3 pages mostly, then I do a little poem, and then I do a picture. I'm trying to work between the pictures and the words and expression and what's it all about. And what it says here is a finger pointing to a line in an open book. And Liz, you mentioned, what is this meaning to me personally, or to anybody personally, is the idea. And that's what I did. I was thinking about moon stories, and I had the hand over the heart, and the other hand looking at this book with story, and at the Y couldn't figure out which way, how the Y ended, because you could do it with the little tail going this way or that way. At any rate, so there was just a little focus to say that really it's those choices that we make with our alignment, with our intention, with everything, our story. So yeah, a finger. Now, is that mercurial, do you think?
Well, we're definitely in a time where, well, of course, this shows with Mercury in Gemini, and of course, Ceres is in Gemini. So this is a really good time of communicating with others, and people are going to be really nurtured by getting out and getting those, that talking going with relationships, and great time to communicate with others. So there's a little bit of mercurial energy here that's very strong.
Well, thank you for that feedback. And also with Mercury, or with Gemini, actually, as we know, it's not that one always has the object in mind. It's the discovery during the process. So it's very important, as you say, to connect, to really release what maybe hadn't been recognized until you have that pattering back and forth with somebody.
Well, actually, and you're talking about, it's about, what did you say about new things, options? Well, I forget how you just stated that. And I think, I don't know if Liz did or you did, but I mentioned there that the Sabian symbol for the Mercury is a glass bottom boat, with all this new stuff happening and new dimensions, new things going on.
Discovering things below the surface. I love it.
Ooh, yes. Let's get, all right. Let's get to the South Node. That's it. South Node, Scorpio. So 22.
I wanted to mention that for those listening and seeing this, that the nodes, we go backwards because they travel backwards. So we're going backwards a number each time. So if people are like, well, wait, the other ones all went forward a number.
Thank you.
That they understand what we're doing. So I just wanted to throw that in real quick, but go ahead and go to the South Node.
I'm glad you reminded me. Yes, ma'am. That's beautiful. So it was 22 Scorpios where it's at now, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. They're in the second house, which is a polarity, of course. And it's hunters shooting wild ducks, hunting food or a competition. And then it goes to the next one following, which is towards 0 at 21. Obeying is conscious. A soldier resists an order, conflict of values and beliefs. So it sounds like really a lot of this choice decisions that we have to make, that I guess, Justin, you saw right off the bat.
Well, and Liz said that too. That was the word I was trying to get to. What was that word she was talking about, with choice or taking action? And that kind of speaks to if we look at the Sabian symbol for the ascendant, which is, this bald-headed man seizes power. And Dane Rudyard talks about, this is about, okay, the power of will. I'm going to take this power and I'm just going to make a choice and move forward with it.
I find it very important to remember that we have the choice of just taking control of what we know we can do. That had been advice given to me just recently, because there is this diffusing energy that is dissolving things with Pisces, with Jupiter and Neptune having been conjunct and continuing in close relationship, which they are right now. And in a week, there'll be 3 degrees. But then, as we can see, Venus, the harbor of desires, is involved. And so it's going to keep accentuating it. But what did I get back to? What was I saying? Yes, that in other words, we can not to get overwhelmed or confused, which is the other possibility when there's so much being available in that abundance, but to rather take stock and work at figuring out what you can take control of personally.
Yep.
Yes. And then the South Node, the 21 degree, the conflict of values and or beliefs. It's like we've been working with a set of beliefs, and are those still valid to me today? You know, maybe they were valid 5 years ago, but today they might not be valid for me. So,
or 248 years ago, thinking about the Pluto return with the United States. You know, we're going to have our second series part July 3rd. Justin will be part of that, and there'll be some other panelists. And it's something we're all really, I think, subconsciously dealing with all the time on a very major scale. Like how much, inclusivity and how do we get to that ideal? Because Saturn is still in its noble, elevated brotherhood sign of trying to connect on new terms, you know, in Aquarius, getting new structures.
Well, and you know, speaking to that, making a choice, you know, on that the sun and the moon, the 11 degrees in Taurus talks about a woman watering flowers in her garden, which is this cultivation, or that as we move forward to this inflection point, we have to take a choice and action and nurture what has to be next, you know. So there's a cultivation happening here that we have to do. We have to nurture and care.
And what do we think of, I'm going to throw this out, Pholus is that little pineapple down at the bottom that looks like a pineapple in Capricorn. And of course, it is, you could say, in a good flowing energy with this new moon, this solar energy. They're both in earth signs, and Pholus is that seer, or the, I just know, you know, he's a centaur, but it is energy that is very important in some ways. How would you think, is there a way, Justin, that you might encapsulate some of that meaningfulness of?
Well, I find that Pholus as a general rule brings in sudden change, you know, because that's part of the mythology, that accident, that sudden change.
That's right. Yeah.
And being that it's in the structure there, that we're still dealing with in the background of some things happening, of quick sudden changes in our structure. I think the Sabian symbol for this, and Liz, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the veiled prophet, I think, here that we're talking about. And so there's a little bit of how do I say, real charisma that could come out at this particular point in time, and people mediating issues and communications and relationships. Well, that'll be one of those things that pops up.
The veiled prophet.
And I didn't look up the Sabian symbol for Pholus because I don't use Pholus, so sorry.
No, that's okay. But if you had other thoughts or something, that's fine. And so action, it looks like we're going to have action regardless. Action and what we align with, and that part with spirit, releasing, surrendering, acknowledging that maybe we don't see it all, and let the sudden things come in. That gets really back down to figuring out what our intentions, why are we choosing what we need, so we can really reboot, I guess. But it's not an instant reboot. It's a
spring cleaning.
Spring cleaning.
Right.
And so many changes on the ways. I want to go to Mars, if that's okay, at 11 Pisces, traveling a narrow path, seeking illumination. So to me, that was speaking to seeking to become better. And, and it's like, if everybody's working on being better, that's a wonderful gift.
Talking about the present, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there's a part of that too that I think kind of highlights what's being said with the with that North Node in Taurus of the where there's sort of this certification or qualification that comes into play here, so that as we move forward and make choices, and we, this is the Taurus season of generosity, giving, receiving, that and we're thinking about what's worthwhile, what's valuable, including ourselves. That there's some element, and we were talking about this before the call, about where are we looking for validation or certification of values and worth, and that we look more inward versus outward. This is interesting, because this where they're that brotherhood, based on that Sabian symbol, they're looking for some type of qualification or certification here. I think we could take that internally and say, where are we looking at for certification of our worth with this Taurus energy? Do we feel that we need to be generous in order to be worthwhile, or vice versa? Where is that happening at for us?
And thank you for identifying and bringing that up, because as we had said too, it's really what's the payoff in that process of spring cleaning. If we realize that why we're being generous, because as you had mentioned, it's our birthright. People are generous by nature for various reasons. And it's what is that purpose? Because we're social people. We learn through others. And so therefore we watch others, and depending on the personalities, which has everything to do about astrology a lot too, that concoction of your own energy system, how much we rely on others versus our own self, and then I often think of check and balance, right? Just like in government, people are like a natural check and balance system.
And as we know, Mars in Pisces, it's this assertiveness that's compassionate and sympathetic, and has empathy, and needs to give of oneself to something greater.
So doing it to yourself, giving this gift to oneself is really valuable. It's a healing process. From what, yes, you were saying, like traveling a narrow path, seeking illumination, but becoming better, for within. So if there was something that one wanted to toss out and revise, then having compassion for that. Yes, it all.
Well, that kind of, then again takes us right back to the ascendant in Virgo, which is trying to refine or perfect, and of course I think the other part of that Sabian symbol for that was that after a crisis, there's some realignment with truth that has to happen. That the second one on the ascendant. So it's asking us where do we look to find this betterment? Then it's whatever our source of truth is. Back to the Mars in Pisces, has to assert what its inner truth is.
Well, that's the best part about a chart, is it keeps moving around and reflecting back and forth. In fact, that makes me notice that despite all the Sabians, in this chart, there's a tension point between Saturn of regulation, authority, tradition, all these structures, that's in this innovative new Aquarius, elevation, brotherhood, and some trauma too, for all the changes, sign that it's toggling us between resources, accumulation, purging, being, between the nodes. Yeah, right?
Yes. And the symbol for that is a teacher having overcome her passions, teaches deep wisdom in terms of experience, learning to overcome our obstacles. So there's been a lot that we've been talking about today about overcoming, making improvements, letting go, purging. It's like the theme, it just kind of keeps building on the same.
Oh, and there's the butterfly. The next
Yes.
one, 25. Okay, go ahead.
You can read it, Sue, because you were talking about it earlier.
A butterfly with the right wing more perfectly formed. So you had said compensate, balance. But these two energies, it is interesting because, again, with Sabians, for our audience, it's in a certain number. So we're including that. But then the Sabians are often the next number rounded off. So it's kind of where you're from and where you're going. There's always that part.
Yes.
And Dane Rudyard talked about that butterfly one, and it's, by the way, it's not the only butterfly in the Sabian Symbols, but this one particularly, he talks about it as a transmutation of emotional energies.
So that's exactly with where they're coming from. A teacher, someone that's accustomed to having it down together, right? I'm teaching, you're listening type attitude, but overcoming this passion, meaning because you can get really caught up in all of that, and instead teaching as what I was saying, passion, one can get over exuberant and not listening to themselves, and instead, nevertheless, no, it's having overcome her passions. Oh, I see, having overcome. So in other words, now it's the experience that one's teaching through. Okay.
The professor using the wisdom.
The professor I'm repeating so that Justin, who's popping in and out like a strobe light here.
He's a solar flare today.
Is there maybe there's anyway.
Like chaotic Mercury.
Well, it could be Mercury, or maybe it's Pluto. I'm looking at Pluto.
Chaotic Mercury there.
Oh, okay.
And that's the other thing too. I don't know about you all, but I sometimes, I notice how the planets affect us personally in our daily lives, right? So if I can't focus, I'm like, okay, where's that moon at? Is it in a fire or air sign? Because that's all over the map, right? And lately last week, I'm like, I can't read. I just can't focus. Oh yeah, of course. Mercury has moved into Gemini. It gets bored easily. It can't focus. Let me look at this. Ooh, nice shiny object over there. Ooh, shiny ball over here.
Exactly. Yeah. And besides that, I'm glad you brought that point up, because I have my Saturn at 0 degrees Virgo, meaning anytime any of the signs go into that 0 degrees of a mutable, it's haywire. It's like, it's razzle dazzle, and my poor, I need not put it in that sense, but my capable Saturn in discerning Virgo says, boy, you put a lot on the table today.
And I want to mention that Pluto goes retrograde a few hours before this partial solar eclipse on April 29th.
Say that again, please.
The planet Pluto goes retrograde on April 29th, not that many hours before this eclipse. So I think that'll even make this eclipse more juicy and strong.
Good point, Liz, because they're all direct. That's right. I'd forgotten. Go ahead, Justin.
You know what that makes me think, and hopefully I'm not crackling again.
No.
That makes me think that there's something Plutonian that we haven't, that we're carrying over into the next cycle here, that we're not done dealing with yet. With Pluto going retrograde just before this eclipse says, nope, we're not done yet. Gonna have some more Plutonian stuff going on in the next cycle here.
Well, I will say once again that because of this United States that we're living in, we have a Pluto return, as according to the July 4th, 1776 chart. That, of course, and we have a minute here, we can still talk this out. And so on the 3rd of July, I think it's the 3rd of July, it's going to be the second exact, and it will be retrograde at that point. And then, of course, on Christmas Day, it'll be, I think, the third one. And so we have that little mini series. Justin, you're with it with Sam Reynolds, and then we're going to bring a couple of other people on to talk about it. And I think that's really the fact that with all these micronisms within ourselves, we need to figure it's relating like the big river, like little drops into the big river for all of us to reconsider how can we be more brotherly and inclusive and compassionate with our resources for all.
The eclipses are coming. The eclipses are coming.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you,
Paul
Justin.
Revere.
That's it. See us at NORWAC, and we'll be there. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Justin. It's been great.
Thank you for joining us on Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Rose Minahan and her panel of guests connect soul growth patterns with the energetic cycles of astrology. Be sure to tune in next Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time to continue your journey through the roots of the cosmic pathway.